Hello, Lisa Richard here with Loving Energy Recharge, coming in to talk about the inner alchemy, the energies that are at play for the period of time between April the 4th and April the 9th. Now, inner alchemy is a journey inwards to really examine how the planetary energies are related to the self in terms of the shadow essence, the gift essence, and our highest potential in there. So these are based on the teachings of human design. It's expanded into the gene keys, and it's also embodying our training as a more than existing Lightworker coach. Now, the journey for all of us through the process of inner alchemy is to really get to know who you are, and then to take full responsibility for examining how does the shadow essence show up for self? How does the gift aspect show up for self? And what do we need to be aware of in order to rise from the lower vibrating frequencies up into the higher? So tools like human design, and if you are new to this channel or you do not have your human design birth chart, it's known as a body graph, you can go to my website, lovingenergyrecharge.com, and you can enroll in a free Introduction to Human Design course, which will also give you the link to print off your body graph based on your birth time and to be able to follow along in more depth. Now, regardless as to whether you have your chart or not, these energies are planetary in nature. So we are all going to experience them, whether it is an active gate within our design or not, because it's stimulated, it's highlighted. It's like when you are looking up at the night sky, there's certain stars that are always illuminated. Well, human design, the gene keys, is the same way. As the planets evolve around us, we are getting hit with different activations. So right now, it just so happens that we are being activated again in the heart center. This is our second week in a row being in the heart center, which in the teachings of human design is all about energy in the form of willpower. Now, if you do have your human design chart, you want to notice if this center is colored in on your design, and it's the tiny little triangle that's shown in red, or if it is white, which is known as undefined, or open if you have none of the circled numbers known as gates in there. 65% of us will have that white, undefined, or open. 35% is going to have that colored in. Now, this matters because when the heart center is colored in human design, you have consistent energy in the form of willpower. When you have it undefined, it's white, you have inconsistent energy. So we can look at those aspects of your design, any center that is white in nature, as really absorbing the energies around it and being areas of conditioning and also subjects you came here to learn in Earth School in order to learn to evolve and grow. So being that this is our second week in that heart center, in the energy of willpower, we're really examining our relationship to the tribe, the community, to a greater sense of, is it my will or is it thy will? So thy will being universal in nature, God's source, creation, whatever that is to you. But it's almost like taking the little me and turning it into a we, right? So it's bigger than who we are. Now, that heart center also teaches us about self-esteem, self-worth. It's related to different organs within our body. And as we are stepping into the energy of April the 4th to the 9th, we're now entering in through gate 51. And gate 51, in its biological relationship, is linked to the gallbladder and it's linked to our liver. So here we're looking at detoxification, and we're looking at gall, bile, right? So how your body is going to produce certain things. Sometimes we end up with gallstones. And those are hardened areas of the body where you've accumulated too much energy, and now it becomes calcified, it becomes stuck. So we want to look at this biological relationship to really examine, how is our bodies speaking to us? And when we look at the name of this gate, we're looking at what is known as the gate of shock and the gate of arousal. It goes by a couple different names. In the I Ching, that comes to us as the thunderbolt. So think of that in terms of shock, awe, thunder, lightning, right? This is something that is really going to stimulate us to focus on the willpower, my will, thy will, and to also look at the shadow energies in here, which is all about agitation. Now, agitation shows up in many, many different forms, and I'm sure we can all relate to many experiences where we feel agitated. Now, it's important to also remember that we just came out of gate 21 in the heart center, which was focused on control and really encouraging us to notice, what are we holding on to control of that is not ours to control? And what have we given away our power in that we needed to claim back to take back responsibility and control of what was ours? So we're tying that in now to entering a time of shock and arousal and really getting our attention, right? Getting us stimulated for that forward momentum. This is going to tie us into the new moon in Aries and solar eclipse that is coming on April the 8th. And it's really here to teach us then the power of duality. So that is the shock and the arousal, right? We're here to examine that there's both sides to everything. This is also applying the law of nature. So we may be experiencing some dramatic weather patterns, out of the blue, you might get those electrical storms. They may cause some agitation. We may find some flooding. We may find some experiences out in, let's say, the financial markets where something comes in and all of a sudden out of left field comes a surprise. So the energy during this time frame is going to teach us, how do we handle shock? How do we handle agitation? How do we handle the element of surprise? Now, when you really sit in agitation for yourself and to embrace the shadow, means to also look at, do we have a tendency to be really harsh when we feel agitated? And I know for myself, I have some back issues, some hip issues, the body just gets sore at times. And a way that I can relate to this energy and for what I have been experiencing is when my body is sore, I'm agitated. And when I'm agitated because the body is sore, it plays in the moods, and I have a tendency to be harsher with others that are around me, but most of all, harsh on self. So this is coming from the mindset, right? The way that we deal with issues, challenges, obstacles. We do have a tendency to project onto other people, to blame them, to shame them, to guilt them. And let's be honest. And I'm being really authentic by sharing my own weaknesses, because that is the journey. We're not here to pretend that we get it all right. We're not here to pretend that we're perfect. We're not saints. We're humans. Humans are perfectly imperfect. And when you really lean into your agitations, how they show up for you, your patterns, your behaviors, your tendencies to deal with irritants, then you're really coming into an honest understanding of your ability to handle certain things, or the need to really reflect and sit in the why of handling certain things. And it's just tools to get to know yourself at a greater level. So we're not here to judge anybody else. We're not here to add more agitation to the fire by pointing fingers and looking at each other's faults. We're here to use some humor, to acknowledge the imperfections of our journeys, to understand that, we're all agitated. There's all things that get on our nerves, and it can be somebody's tone of voice. It could be mannerisms. It could be chewing with your mouth open. It could be making chewy noises. I don't know what it is for you, but use the element of humor here to see if you can identify some things that just kind of in that subconscious awareness do really tend to get on your nerves. So that is the shock. That is the arousal, right? That agitation is always there. When we look out into Mother Earth, let's bring this bigger for a moment. I imagine it's agitating for the seed to crack open. It's agitating for the caterpillar to come into the cocoon and emerge from the butterfly. It's agitating for all things to grow. So our planet is always stimulating us in the energies of agitation to really get us to lean into that, to witness that as one of the laws of nature. You're not going to control the weather. You're not going to control how things grow and evolve. So we're here to learn to not run from that agitation, which is a tendency for a lot of us. We want to run, we want to hide, we want to avoid it, or we feel like, I got to fix this and I got to fix it now. Well, what if agitation is just part of the experience? So we want to step into the gift aspect in this gate, which is all about initiation, taking the initiative. When we take the initiative to be honest with our agitations and to examine where we're being harsh on others, on ourselves because of that agitation, and we allow ourselves to just witness it, right? This is where you want to rise up. You want to breathe into the agitation, to not try to figure out, why is this happening? It just is what it is. I don't know why the body hurts. It just does. But you can breathe into that. You can lean into that, and you can get to the root of the agitation. So this is a process of staying with you, accepting yourself in the weakness, accepting yourself in the agitated state, not feeding the agitation, but observing yourself, observing the agitation. This is coming up to the third eye awareness of that. You're rising yourself up and out of the issue to take a bigger look at what is going on. So we want to embrace the shadow of agitation. We want to wrap it in gentleness, in love, in a detached view that is going to get really honest and clear as to what is this teaching me? And knowing that just like the weather coming in or the seasons evolving and growing and changing, we too are growing and evolving and changing. So you're not here to figure out the why to it all. You're here to know that this is a period and a process, and to allow yourself to move through it. So you can also use this time and take the initiative to get creative. Yes, this agitation is here. There are things that want to be expressed within you. So if you were to use that to your creative potential, what could you manifest in there? Now, you do want to be cautious because this energy also comes with a desire and a pressure to be competitive. This is where we go back to your human design chart again, because if you're colored in that heart center, defined, it is correct for you to be competitive, to carry this energy of to be the best. And it's not to be better than somebody else. So also watch how that plays out. It is consistent willpower and energy that is driving you to be your personal best and to compete with versions of yourself that may suggest through a thought, a belief system, that limits your full potential. So this is where you can view yourself running a race. And it doesn't matter what all the other runners are doing. You're the one that has to exert your energy, your pace, your rhythm, your breath, your belief, your overcoming of muscle fatigue and obstacles that are going to come your way, and focusing on staying in your lane, staying in your energy, and bringing in and harnessing that beautiful gift of competition for your own personal growth in order to evolve to become the best version of you that you know you can be. Now, if you are undefined, 65% of us, you are not designed to be competitive. And this is because there's inconsistent energy there. So watch how the competition is stimulating some agitation within you, a pressure to want to be very reactive, to shock others, to want to start something, to prove yourself, to be the best, to get noticed. Really lean into the why of all of that. Because this is where that agitation that is residing in the heart center through conditioning is going to play out. And it might be that you have a belief system that you're not good enough, that you're not being noticed, that you are overlooked, that nobody's liking your work or your creativity. This is the shadow. We want to step into the energy of you're here to evolve your spirit. You're here to really step into your authentic gifts, to know that whatever is destined to be yours, it'll naturally occur and you don't have to force it. What it does require is the gentleness of feeding it, the energy that is required in order for yourself to bloom and grow. So consider yourself as here to get a really strong foundation, a knowing of who you are, and then to feed the soil of you, right? Getting into the knit and the gritty of you, to turn the head towards the light. So calling in the gift aspects of being innovative and taking the initiative. You're here to take full responsibility for how you show up. And it's not to compete with anybody else, right? It's really looking at other people as your mirror reflection. If you admire something in another, can you see the same within you? And if there's something that irritates you about another, a behavior, a way of being, can you use that as your mirror reflection to go inwards and say, you know what? I'm going to be honest with myself and I'm going to see, where do I have the tendency to also exhibit that same behavior? Because the mirror is our world, right? We all have one perception of reality, but there's billions of us. So together we're like that disco ball, right? We're that shock and that awe and arousing the spirits of having so many different reflections and opinions and viewpoints to offer. So you're offered a smorgasbord of energy and you get to decide, what am I going to choose to nurture myself, to feed within myself, while I'm also being aware and examining and being honest that all exists. So we're here to create our own reality. So let us use this beautiful energy of shock and arousing the spirit, and let us be the thunderclap of our own human existence, to lean into the agitation during this time frame and not to run from it, but to lean into it and wrap any sensation of harshness in a gentle awareness, just like the eclipse is going to show us the darkness and the light. This is fire energy in the sign of Aries that is coming through. The new moon is dark. It is dark because it is a new beginning. So can you find the energy and the passion within you to be your own savior, to feed the greater we are in this. And suffering is a part of the journey. But on the other side of suffering is a greater opportunity to evolve. So if you were to lean into your agitation and learn from your agitation, knowing you can come out the other side of that agitation, who is that person waiting for you on the other side? And what is it that you are overcoming and learning about yourself in order to evolve your spirit within? So I hope this video is of service to you during this time frame. When this week is done, we're stepping into 3 weeks of activated centers within your sacral. This is your life force energy. So first we want to step into the tribal energy, the community, the bigger we, right? Being in this together. You're not alone. You have to do your own work, but we're not alone in our evolution. The world's evolving. It is constant. So use this time to really embrace who you are, discover who you are, go on the journey of learning your human design. You can book a consultation with me if you want to get really deep into learning who you are and bringing those gifts forward. You can go to thegenekeys.com and use some of their free resources as well. There's so many modalities out there for you to get to know energetically who you are, to come out of the mind and deeper into the body. So I'm using this energy, this agitation that I'm feeling this week to really promote and encourage you to take back your own power. Claim back those pieces of yourself that may have been a problem from somebody else, but they're such a part of your truth. And most of all, remember, we're perfectly imperfect. So don't be embarrassed of the shadow tendencies. Be honest with it. Use some humor in it and be gentle with how you treat yourself. Don't feed into the energy of harshness. I'm sending you all so much love during this time period, and I look forward to connecting again as we step into the sacral center in the coming weeks. Namaste to you all. Take care.